Hello and thank you for joining my channel. In today's video we are watching one of the best games in Magnus Carlsen chess career. This game was played in 2015 and it was played against Levon Aronian in Viking Z tournament. Magnus Carlsen was playing as white, and the reason why this game is so special is because of the way Magnus Carlsen plays the chess game, creating an attacks on king side, then on the queen side, creating weaknesses in the enemy's position, and the way he trades pieces is just unmatched in the chess world, and this game is pure exhibit of that. So without further ado, we will go straight into the game. Magnus opened the game with d4, we have knight to f6, c4 and e6 played for black. We have knight to f3 for Magnus, d5 for black, attacking in the center, and knight c3 played for Magnus Carlsen. Black continues by playing bishop b4 and pinning this knight. Magnus releases the tension in the center, c takes on d5, e takes on d5, and we have bishop g5 on the board. Game continued with h6, attacking this bishop, and Magnus decided to trade. Bishop takes on f6, queen takes on f6, and right now Magnus continues with a really important move, queen to a4 check. This move basically forces black to play knight to c6 because this bishop is hanging, and later in the game this pawn can become big. We have e3 played by Magnus Carlsen, continuing the development, and black decided to castle. Bishop e2, white continues his normal development, and bishop e6 was played for black with the idea to simply protect this pawn. Game continued by castling kingside for Magnus, and we have a6 on the board played for black. Now black's idea in this position is to retreat with his bishop on d6 and then continue the queenside advance. Magnus continues the game with rook f to c1, and at first glance it looks like rook a to c1 is a much better move, simply because you will have this rook on d or e files. But Magnus sees that black actually doesn't have any counterplay on the king's wing, and it's perfectly safe to play rook to c1. Magnus's main idea is to remove this queen on d1 and then use this rook on b file. When the queenside attack unravels, he will have two rooks on possible open files. So this is the logic behind this move. Bishop d6 played for black, continuing his usual idea, and we have queen to d1 played for Magnus Carlsen. Game continued with knight to e7, putting this knight probably on g6 or on f5, putting it on a much active square, and we have a3 played for Magnus Carlsen with the idea to push on b4. Rook f to d8 was played for black, and Magnus continues with his idea, b4 is played on the board. By the way, the main move played in this position is actually g5 for black, with the idea to start a kingside attack, because white obviously decided that he will play on the queen side. Black in theory usually tries an attack on the king side because his pieces are looking toward the white king. But rook f to d8 was played in the game. We have b4 for Magnus Carlsen, and we have knight to c8 played for Levon Aronian. Levon Aronian now tries to reroute his knight on b6 and then maybe take the advantage of the c4 square. We have knight to a4 played for Magnus Carlsen with the idea to attack this square on c5. Game continued with b6, and for now looks like Levon Aronian stopped this threat and now is controlling this c5 square. But what this leaves a permanent weakness on the c6, which will later be used by Magnus Carlsen, a really important thing in this game. So Magnus creates a weakness and then sees from there where he will go. And like he did that, he continues with a knight to b2. A sudden move, completely unexpected, but it has its logic, of course. He created a weakness, and now he will turn his attack and he will turn his attention on the king side. We have knight to e7 now played for Levon Aronian. Levon sees that Magnus now, for now at least, stops his plans on expanding on the queen side, and we have knight to d3 played for Magnus Carlsen. Black continues again with knight to g6, and we have a4 on the board. Again, Magnus Carlsen now directs the attention to the queen side and now asks Levon Aronian, what will you do? Levon decided to play a5, which is pretty much a must-play move. For example, after a4, if you decide to play bishop f5 like a random move, then a5 will be played, and if you decide to push b5, then this square really becomes weak. Magnus can double up his rooks and then maybe pressure this pawn. This will leave this huge weakness on c6, so it's not good. And after a5, if you decide to take b takes on e5, b takes on e5 is much better for white again, because you will have another open file, and again this c6 weakness will be active as well. So a5 is played on the board, and we have a b5 played for Magnus Carlsen. And right now this square is definitely fortified for later in the game for Magnus Carlsen. As you can see, Magnus Carlsen exploits the position, creates small weaknesses, then turns his attention to the other side. Really impressive the way he does it. We have rook to e8 played for Levon, we have rook to c3 for Magnus, bishop f5 played for black, and we have rook a to c1 doubling rooks on the c file, rook a to d8 played for Levon Aronian, and now we have knight to d2. Now this moves looks like it doesn't do nothing. Where this knight will go, for example on b3, nothing you can do there, nothing, you cannot jump on c5. It looks like this move is pointless, but with Magnus nothing is pointless. The main idea behind this move is to actually offer the bishop for a trade, because Magnus now sees that the light squares will be very weak, especially this central pawn, and now it's the time to trade the bishops. Impressive idea by Magnus Carlsen. Black now continues with rook to d7. Black doesn't have much things to do here. His pieces are pretty much stuck, and there is nothing you can do without really ruining your position greatly. So rook to d7 was played. By the way, I wanted to show you that after knight to d2, if queen h4 is played, it looks scary, but it's actually not. For example, we can play simply g3, and if queen to h3, bishop f1 is perfectly fine. We will remove this queen from this dangerous square, and we are completely fine. So knight to d2, rook to d7, and now Magnus doesn't trade the bishops. He firstly plays g3, a really important move, because Magnus sees the plan a few moves in advance. He sees that this move will be needed later for later h4 in the game, where he will push the queen. Of course, bishop g4 was possible immediately. Even if black tries with queen h4, this is not a good move, because you are leaving your bishop there. Bishop takes on f5. We are reading your bluff. You cannot do much damage with queen h2. We go king h1, and after queen h1 check, king e2, and after queen h5 check, g4, and we are fine. We saved our bishop, we are attacking the queen, and we are simply a piece up. We're winning the game. But Magnus plays g3 because he can see a few moves in advance. He is not like you and me. So game continued with knight to f8. Levon Aronian simply doesn't know how to respond in this position. We have bishop to g4, finally offering the trade. And for now, Levon refuses, and he plays a knight to h7 with the idea to read out his knight on g5. Magnus, of course, trades the bishops, and he even offers the queen for the trade, because he now sees that he has superior endgame here. If the queens are traded, this pawn will be weak. These two double rooks are really strong, and c6 square will be exploited. So, not a good endgame for black. Black for now refuses, and this is the idea behind g3 move. h4 right now is possible. Attack this queen, and this queen has to retreat. Queen to e7 was played, and now finally we have a rook c6 on the board played by Magnus. Now finally this weakness can be exploited, and the point of this move is simply you are now putting even more pressure on the position, and you are tightening this screw around black's position. A really powerful move. Now I would like to show you that although it looks like this pawn is free, it actually not. So after queen to e7, if you decide to pick up this pawn immediately, then bishop a3 is the threat, a discovered attack on the queen, and you will lose your rook. Unfortunately, you will trade your rook for the enemy's bishop. Although computer gives this evaluation a complete equal, it's really not easy to convert when you are a piece down. So this is not a good idea. Immediately rook to c6 is the right way to go, and we have knight to f6 played for Levon Aronian. Now Magnus continues with knight to f4, tightening the grip around this d5 pawn, and black decided to play g6. Now wanted to show you that after knight to f4, if you decide to trade this bishop for this knight, after queen takes on f4, you are attacking this pawn 3 times, and after rook to c8, in order to defend it, unfortunately this doesn't work, because rook takes on b6, your rook is hanging. After c takes on b6, rook takes on c8, and again we have the material advantage, so this doesn't work. Now after knight to f4 and g6 played for black, Magnus immediately stops any kind of h5 threats for black. So h5 on the board. Of course, right now for Levon Aronian, it is not good to take this and open the position, having in mind that your king is really weak. So black decided to play king g7. Of course, we will now go back and see what would happen if g5 is played and attacking this knight. Now white can take this pawn, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, and after queen takes on d5, bishop a3 is no longer working, because right now queen f5 is the right move for Magnus Carlsen. We are sacrificing our rook. We don't care about our rook right now. We are threatening checkmate really soon. And after bishop takes on c1, rook takes on h6 is another nail to the coffin in the black's position. If black tries f6, then we will continue with queen to g6 check. And after queen g7, we will continue with queen taking on e8. And after queen blocks on f8, we continue with rook h8 check. You have to pick up this rook, and after that, queen picks up on f8, and we are simply winning with a huge material advantage. Now we will go a little bit back. So after rook takes on h6, instead of f6, maybe black can go on f8. Then the game would continue with rook h8 check, king g7, queen h7 check, king to f6, queen h6 check, and right now if king goes on f5, we continue by pushing our pawn on e4, and you are getting screwed. And that's game over for black. By the way, now you see the strength of the rook c6 move. It's not only putting the pressure in the black's camp, it's also you are being able to pick up maybe f6 pawn, you are also able to pick h6 pawn, and you are able to create a checkmate threat. That is why Magnus is so brilliant. He sees the position a couple of moves in advance, and he sees the importance of these key moves. So of course h5 was played on the board. We have king to g7, Levon has to play that. We have h takes on g6, f takes on g6, and now finally white can pick up this pawn. We have knight picking up on d5, queen picks up on d5, and right now Levon creates a discovered attack with bishop taking up on g3. Magnus is not scared of that. He simply plays queen to g2. And now what will you do, Levon? When you move this bishop, we have this threat picking up this pawn on g6. Of course, bishop d6 is played with the idea to block this line and attack on this g6 pawn. Magnus continues with knight to c4. Right now the main idea is to attack with his knight here, and after the bishop moves, he can later take it, but first he will give this queen takes on g6 check. A really difficult position for black. Levon tries with rook to f8. Magnus continues with knight to e5, and now bishop takes on e5. Of course, you don't want to pick up this bishop immediately. You firstly play queen takes on g6, a much stronger move. Then black goes on h8, you continue with queen takes on h6 check. King goes on g8, and only now you pick up this bishop. Queen takes on e5 was played for Levon Aronian, and now Magnus continues with rook to g6 check. King f7, and right now the only move that wins in this position, although it looks like a lot of moves are winning, you can give so many checks, it seems like this king is very weak and you can chase it with queen h7. It actually doesn't work. The only move that works is actually rook c4, which looks completely counterintuitive because your king is also really exposed. Black can give queen a1 check, black can give rook d1 check. In the game, queen a1 check was played at kind of a spite check. When there is nothing you can do, you have to try giving these sort of checks. You know you're dying and you know you are finishing the game, but you have to try and continue the game. Of course, after this, queen g2 was played, but after rook to c4, let's see what would happen if rook to d1 was played. For Levon Aronian, then king to g2, and now queen d5 check looks really scary for Magnus Carlsen, but Magnus has a simple answer, and that answer is e4. You are sacrificing your rook. We don't care about our rook. We have a checkmate threat here. So after queen takes on c4, we have rook to f6 check, and after king goes on e7, we have queen picking up on f8 check, and if king goes on d7, we have rook f7 check, and right now if king goes on e6, queen e7 is checkmate. And after rook f7, you are practically forced to pick up this rook. Queen picks up on f7, and Magnus is winning this with ease. So queen a1 check, king to g2, rook to h8. Right now Levon Aronian attacks this queen. Magnus continues with rook to f4 check, king goes on e8, rook e6 check. In this position, black is forced to block with rook e7, because after rook e6, if you decide to go on d8, then queen f8, a spectacular sacrifice. You can play also rook f8, but why not win with style points? After rook takes on f8, the only move rook takes on f8 is checkmate. So you have to block rook e7, and after that we will continue with rook takes on e7 check. We simply trade, we don't care, we are still winning. King takes on a7, and after this move rook e4 was played check for Magnus Carlsen, and in this position Levon Aronian decided to resign because simply there is nothing you can do. You will either get checkmated or you will lose a lot of material. Now one of the ways to continue this game is to actually play king f7, but this actually prepares a beautiful ladder mate. Queen e6 check, king goes on g7, rook g4 check, king goes on f8, rook f4 check, and after king goes on g7, rook f7, and in the next move black king will be checkmated with a ladder mate. Of course, after rook to e4 check, if you decide to go on d7, then Magnus has this brilliant move, a rook to d4 check, right now cutting away these two pieces, and this rook will fall. In case you decide to pick up this rook, then Magnus has a rook to c6, and after the king moves anywhere, we will simply pick up his queen and we will win the game. And this is how this game ended, and this is all I have prepared for you today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video with other people who enjoy chess. As you all know, word of mouth referrals like this really help my channel grow, and I really appreciate all of your support, guys. Also, feel free to let me know your opinion about this game. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy Magnus Carlsen tactics and the way he sees the game? Let me know if I missed something in the analysis, or if you simply want to say something to me, do so. I always enjoy reading your comments. If you wish, you can donate to my channel. I will leave the PayPal link in the description of the video. Each new donation will be listed on my new channel, of course, on my next videos, and you will see your name each time I upload, guys. Also, you can become a channel member with some specific perks. You can donate me that way as well. I really appreciate all of your support throughout, guys. And yeah, so this was all for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other in the next video. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.